Hi, this is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. It's Wednesday and time to get together and do a little crafting and check in with everybody and see how everyone is doing. I think I have everyone here. And just please let me know you're watching. Send me a comment or something. Just trying to come up with, hey Jackie, thank you for joining me. I hope you're doing well. I don't know if you're going out in town yet. If your end of Florida is opening up, they're trying to open up over here. Can you hear me? Let me check. And let's see, is anybody else watching? Okay, I don't see, oh. Okay, cool, Jackie can hear me. Hey Rosa, how are you? Good to see you. We'll probably get a couple more people on. I'm enjoying these Wednesdays. I hope you're enjoying them as well. Yes, I got my catalog. So next Wednesday, we're going to have a walkthrough of this catalog, and we're going to have a scavenger hunt. And the scavenger hunt is, I'm going to send out the PDF with the scavenger hunt, and then during our walkthrough, I'll ask the questions, and then the winners are going to get some free gifts, some surprises. So I'm going to put that. I'll schedule that live right away, and I'll be putting it on my calendar as well. So I'm glad everyone's having a good week. It's kind of a short week. I'm going to talk about a couple of things today before we get into our crafting. I put out this video that is on YouTube on how to ink this designer series paper, as well as how to make this pop-up card. So this is for those of you that are avid stampers and who like to have the fancy folds, and I have a lot of you that really like those. But I know some of you are not particularly avid stampers, and you want to do some techniques. So I try to do the more fancier things on my YouTube. I try to show techniques here, and then I have a workshop scheduled for June. So let me talk about that first. There's a couple of links that I put in this meeting that talk about the workshop. I've given you several levels to come in on the workshop. Even if you don't buy anything and you just want to sit in and talk and chat, there's a level you can come in at, and that's particularly for hobbyists and demonstrators that are not under me but want to just make cards. So I do pay you for my time, and you can go ahead and join the workshop. Hey Monica, thank you for joining me. There's also a level that you come in on, and I will cut out all these pieces and parts for your for the stamp set. All you do is you buy the stamp set, or you could buy the bundle, and then I will cut out all the pieces and parts for all the different projects so that you don't even have to worry about it. All of it comes together, and it includes the ribbon. So it just depends what level you want to come in at. There are people that don't like to do all the cutting. They would just rather have the whole set, and so I can give you that. Or you have the stamp set and all the bundle, which includes the dies, and you want to cut your own. And I will give you the cardstock in your kit so that you can do that with the ribbon and the embellishments. I will also be including probably an ink spot with one of the colors that we'll be using for those cards. So I'm working all those things through, and I just need to have commitments on who wants to join the workshop. Okay, so that's about the workshop. Paper share. The paper share is also out there if you're interested in the paper share. Again, it's actually a cool deal. So I have that out there now. One thing that new thing that Stampin' Out put out is that if you join for the $99 to get the 20% discount, as of 3 June, if you did it on 3 June, then you get an extra free stamp set. Stampin' Up! Is throwing in not only $125 worth of products for $99, but they're also going to throw in a free stamp set. So that's also something else to consider. And I think that's all with my announcements that I have to make today. I got my paper pumpkin. There's a new paper pumpkin that's coming out. The paper pumpkin for next month is this one here, Box of Sunshine, and the one that I got this month is Celebrate Color. These are the colors. These are the new in colors from the new catalog. This is the Just Jade and the magenta, and then the banana, or is it banana? What is that color? Is it banana? Bumblebee. It's Bumblebee. I don't know why I was calling it banana. But I got my paper pumpkin. If you're interested in paper pumpkin, you want to get together, let me know. Okay. I don't see Catherine on, but she said she was going to join. One of the questions I got that I wanted to kind of talk about today was some different ways to do stamps. So let's go over and look at my desk so we can talk about some different techniques. What I have here are a background stamp, and what I've done with this background stamp is I've used several techniques to come out with this neat background stamp effect. The background stamp that I use is the crackle paint. The techniques that I'm going to be showing you need a lot of space in between the lines. I tried doing it with this background stamp, and this is a one that's retiring, but I really like it because it's handwritten letters. This one was not a good stamp to use. So this is kind of the kind of stamp you want to do for these kind of techniques, and then this is a stamp set you really don't want to use with all these very close lines. This one I liked primarily, and let me show you what this, let's see if I have this here. If I were to stamp this just on paper, that's what the crackle paint would look like. So this is on Bermuda Bay and just some white ink. Isn't that pretty? Well, what I did is I took some cardstock, and I'm going to run through these, and I'm going to do cards with these later to show you the cards you can make. But right now, I want to kind of show you the techniques. Then the next technique we're going to do is I'm going to take this large stamp, and it is, let's see, where's my large stamp? It is, oh, I can't find it. It is basically my Magnolia stamp set. Oh, here it is, hold on. This is a double stamp set. It's Good Morning Magnolia. It comes with a suite that will be retiring at the end of the month. So this is the stamp set will go on into the new catalog, but the products, the papers, the designer series paper and the ribbon will be retiring. So So I really like this image here, and I wanted to show you some different ways you can stamp and come up with different effects for this image. So that's if we have time, I want to go ahead and go through that. But I'm using two different techniques here. This technique is basically called the watered ink technique. Right there, watered ink technique. And what I've done is I've taken some ink, I've sprayed it on my cardstock, and then I've applied a wet stamp, and it kind of gives you this very, very light, and I kind of want to show you the kind of what the image is. Now this would make, in my mind, and I did this earlier today, but when I'm looking at this now, what I see is like almost like the water of a pool or something like that. So I really kind of like that effect. And the same with this one here. You can see it's very, very subtle. It kind of gives you a very subtle background effect. And this one, I did the same thing, only then I stamped on top of it after well, first I applied my color, then I stamped my image, which is this top image here, and then if you kind of look, you can see that there's a very subtle shade, and you can kind of see it kind of coming through right here where it kind of is a ghost shade that's kind of coming in there, which is really a neat effect. This one is kind of an interesting one, because what this is I took hair gel and I used the hair gel as a medium to spread on my stamp, and then I put it on my paper. So I'm going to run through these now. I'm not going to promise perfection because I'm live, but we're going to have some fun. This one here, I used a dandelion, and you can kind of see the dandelion shapes. Now what I have in my mind's eye for this card is that I think I want to either white emboss the same image on top of it to kind of give it a different effect. So I'm going to play with this and see what kind of card I come up with, and I'll put this in my gallery. But I just wanted to show you some neat effects that you can use with background stamps. And what I did is I basically took several of these stamps here, and I just put them on a background stamp block, which is this very large block, and I kind of made one giant stamp. I treated all the stamps as one giant stamp. So that's another way you can do background stamping. All right, so I've got my piece of paper here. I'm going to grab a couple of pieces of paper towel like this, and I'm going to want to grab some of these. Now these are spritzers, and you can get these in the catalog. I took this is with water, so this is Bermuda Bay, and I filled this probably 8 to 10 drops right here with I think this is Pacific Point. And then this one here is Daffodil Delight. And then this is just plain water. So this one's kind of almost empty. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how I did this. I'm just basically using this spritzer. I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to count to 6. Put the ink in there. I have a nice little, my water bottle over here, and I'm going to pour this over my garbage can so I don't make a mess. And the amount of water is going to also, you know, you're going to have to play with it, because the amount of water that you put in it is going to also have a lot to do with your how strong this color is, right? So the proportion of water to ink is going to determine how strong this color is. And there's my Pacific Point right there. So I'm going to put these aside, and I'm going to grab a piece of white cardstock, and this is just regular white cardstock. I'm not using watercolor paper. I'm not even using the shimmery white paper. I'm just using plain white cardstock. It buckles a little bit, but I'm not really going to worry about that. I'm going to grab my stamp, and this is a background stamp, so it's a large stamp. And I'm going to put it on this large block like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab these colors, and I'm going to, let me just move, make sure you can see this. I'm going to start with my blue. I'm just going to spray, and then I'm going to spray the yellow. Okay, and I'm going to very quickly, I want to dry this. So I'm going to turn on my heat gun on the very low setting. The Stampin' Up! Equipment comes with two settings. It has a low and a high. So I use the low setting just to kind of dry my cardstock. And you can see right here, there's the wetness. So hopefully that's dry enough. Okay. And then I'm going to take my block. I'm going to grab just my water, and I'm going to spray my block. I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to set it on top of my cardstock. And I'm just going to kind of let it just kind of. Okay, then I'm going to lift it up, and here you can begin to see how it's given you, and when I dry it, you can kind of see the white. Let me pull in here. You can kind of see where you've got kind of that white fade. Right in there, which is kind of giving you that effect. Okay, now let's go ahead and take the same piece. Okay, so if I had probably used more water, a lot more water, I would have gotten a heavier effect, but it's pretty consistent with what I've gotten before. That's actually kind of pretty. If I wanted to add some more, I guess I could take this and I'm going to put this thing right here. I'm just going to set it here for a little bit. There you go. You see that? See how it kind of, and then I would dry this, and this is going to give, so maybe my block wasn't as, I didn't spray enough water on my background block. But I'm going to let that dry, and you can kind of begin to see kind of that effect that it's going to give you. using this particular stamp. Okay, so now let's take a piece of cardstock, and we're going to keep our same block. Let me move out a little bit. I'm just going to fold my paper towel like this. Take the same cardstock, and I'm going to do the same thing. Now this is just my inks in my in a sprayer and spritzer. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to spray this ink around. And if I want, I could blot it a little, but I mean it looks pretty good. Maybe I want a little more coverage. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to just make sure it's kind of a little bit dry. But this technique doesn't have to be that dry. Let's see. Now I'm going to go get, let me get a color. I need to get a color here. I'm going to grab this ink pad. I'm just going to kind of, I didn't put it flat down. I kind of went across it, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my water, I'm going to do that there. And there you go. Look at that. So we just use the ink with water on top of our paper, and we get that effect. And I'm just trying to clean my stamp now. And that was in Pacific Point. So I think that's really pretty. Wow. That's really nice. So look at the different, look at the different looks that you can get. And my homework this week is I'm going to put some I'm going to construct some cards using this this technique. Okay, now this one is the one that I am going to use, and I'm going to try to get some of this ink out of my little crevasses here on my stamp. Now you see how this has nice open areas. Now that's kind of why I like this stamp set, because it's got some really good open areas. In fact, I could even try that, but the colors I'm using don't really, I could use the magnolia flower, but the colors I'm using really don't lend themselves. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take some of this this gel, it's hair gel. I'm going to put some on my bone folder, and I'm just going to kind of spread it around. I don't want to put too much, but I'm kind of spreading it around my my stamp. And then I'm going to grab a piece of paper, and I'm going to spray, and then I'm going to take my water, and And then we're going to put it down there, and I'm going to kind of sit on it, and while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to fill my water one up, because it was, should fill it up to the top. Yeah, that's close enough. And there you go. Look at that. And that's just using hair gel. And let me pull in so you can kind of see that effect. Look at that. So that's just hair gel. That's all that is. Tresemme. Make sure you get all day hold. Oh, no, just kidding. It's just hair gel. And what it's actually mimicking, if you've heard of gelatos, this is a technique that you can just use some hair gel from your you know, your store, your friendly drugstore, and ta-da! You've just come up with a technique that, for all intents and purposes, you know, would cost a lot more money if you went to your art store and tried to get some gelato inks. So I just cleaned my stamp a little bit right there. Okay, so what do you think of that? Huh? Do you like those techniques? Yes, Vicky. Oh, Vicky, how are you? So let me show you what we did. This is the one using the hair gel. Okay, this is the one that we just used. We just kind of stamped on top of it and then kind of let the water the more water, the more runny it's going to be. This one was a little drier, didn't have as much water. And then these are the ones, and you can begin to see how it has that pattern of the cracked paint pattern that I think just looks like, you know, like a pool. So there are your techniques using just some products you have at home, an ink spritzer, and these are in the catalog, and just some water. Now you can also get a different effect, and we will probably do that later, but you can mix these same inks, or same Stampin' Up! Pigments with alcohol, and you get an alcohol-based spray, and we can go through that at another time. But I just wanted to show some of you that have asked for, what do I, you know, I have background stamps, and if you look in the new catalog, there's a lot of background stamps. So I wanted to give you some techniques that you could use for background stamping. So my homework this week is to take these, let these dry out, and then I'm going to make some cards, and I will post them here on the site. But I just love those. I don't even want to put them away. I think I want to just take a picture of them because I think they're so pretty. So I'm going to grab my camera right here, and I'm going to take a picture. Okay, I took a picture, that way I can show everybody what we did. Alright, so let's go ahead and put these aside. And this was the crackle paint, and this is also going to be available in the annual catalog. This background stamp. Okay, so now I'm taking my background stamps and I'm putting that aside because we're going to do something else. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in our Stamparatus, because I'm going to show you 3 techniques that you can use to stamp a line stamp like a flower. There's a lot of these in the new catalog, right? A lot of line stamps, a lot of flower stamps, and if you're like me, you know, you're like, enough already. I don't want to sit there and do all this coloring, but I want to come up with some different ways instead of just stamping them with black, right? Just stamping them with black. I want to come up with some different ways that I can use to create and do different things with my image. Okay, so here are the three that we're going to do. So the first one we're going to do is, this is my favorite. You know, I've showed you how to do this. I'm going to take my Stamparatus and I'm going to grab a piece of cardstock, and this is where I have, this is kind of the cardstock I use to kind of measure where I'm going to put things. Let's see, because that should fit right there, and it does. And what I did is I took a little, this is a marker that you can erase. See, I can erase this. So I kind of lay this out right here, and I know exactly where that's going to stamp. And then I just kind of mark the corners here with my little marker so I know where my paper is going to go. Let me get this. All right, let me move out, make sure you guys can see this, okay? So then I'm going to take this out, and then I know that this is where I'm going to put my image. Now, if I'm not really totally sure how this is going to work out, I can do, if you're a little, you want to be a little careful. Take something like Sahara Sand, very light color, and let's just do it very lightly, okay, and then, okay, we just have a very light image. All right, and that is where it's going to go. We're just going to put my magnets down right there. All right, and if I want to make sure, I can go like this. Yep, okay, it fits. All right, now you remember I've done my technique where we take the foam, we take the craft foam, we stamp the craft foam with StazOn ink, and then we cut the craft foam out to make a stamp. So when you line these up, here's this one, and you can see how this one lies right over on top of that, right? And then this one would lie right on top of this. So I'm using the different plates, and I know some of you have taken advantage of my suggestion to buy the plates because these extra plates retire. So if you have a Stamparatus, you need to make sure you get these extra plates so you can play around and do techniques like this. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to do my light color. And here's my image. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to grab, and what I've done is I've taken some of these ink spots. And again, these are in the catalog. And I'm doing this because I have a little bit more control over how I'm going to apply my ink to my stamp, to my craft foam here. Okay, and then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to, and there we go. And if we're missing something, if you're missing an area, it's okay. Just add some more ink. You're using the Stamparatus. You know, stand up, use the heel of your palm, and there you go. All right? So, and then I'm just going to kind of just wipe. I like to just kind of wipe my plate off a little bit like that and put it aside. Now I'm going to grab my next plate, and my next plate are the leaves, right? And my leaves are perfect. They're right over. And I'm going to take some Old Olive, and I have some Mossy Meadow, and I think this is from, I don't think this is going to be dry, but this is from a paper pumpkin. That's the other kind of cool thing about paper pumpkin, is that you get these ink spots in your paper pumpkin, and you can keep them and use them all the time. So I have Mossy Meadow and I have Old Olive. So again, I have my little ink spot with my Old Olive. Let me move so you can see. And I'm just gently kind of and then I'm going to mix it. I'm going to take my Old Olive and I'm just going to kind of add a little bit of okay, oops. And then we're going to bring this in and we're going to, and there you go. And you can look, if you kind of look down, let me pull this in, you can kind of see that you've got some different colors kind of, you know, going in there. And again, I'm just going to blot my Stamparatus just to make sure I just kind of, it's not all too, and as I've explained, if I'm making, this is really good for production stamping, if you're making a lot of cards. And usually what I do is, if I'm going to set these aside, I take and I lay a piece of paper towel between them, and I can stack them up like this, and I can put them aside, and they're not going to destroy anything. Okay, so let me put my little ink spots. Now we're going to take our stamp, and I don't want to use black. I think I want to use Early Espresso. I think Early Espresso gives it a much prettier effect than just using black. Okay? And there you go. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Let me turn it around so you can take a look at that. And let me go in. Isn't that pretty? Now, if you've got a little bit of white showing, I'm not going to worry about that. But you can always take a Stampin' Right marker, because this is Blushing Bride, right? I'm just going to take a Stampin' Right marker, and if I want to, I can just kind of come in here. And I can fill that in. Okay, there you go. So there is how we would color this. Now I can take some Calypso Coral with the Stampin' Right marker, and I could just kind of go and add that right in there, and it looks marvelous. Look at that, looks marvelous. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, and here's the one I just did earlier this afternoon, and I really kind of like how nice and bold, but look, the leaves aren't all colored, and it's fine. It's a wonderful technique. Okay, so that's one flower. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to grab my Stamparatus again, and I can go ahead and erase my little lines, because now it's a different technique we're doing. I take a piece of cardstock, okay, I'm going to line it up where I want it, like right there. I'm going to block it in with my magnets. Let me get out here. Alright. So now I'm going to do this technique here, all right? And what I'm going to do with this technique, and let me grab, I'm going to grab a piece of, I've got a crumb cake ink pad, and I'm just very lightly just going to sponge this with crumb cake ink. Okay. Now I have a Stampin' Write marker in Early Espresso and a Stampin' Write marker in Garden Green. And I'm going to take the Early Espresso and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to tap all around the I'm going to tap around my petals. Okay, and I'm just tapping this. And you've seen me do this technique before when we made our if you've watched my video, I've done this technique before, but a lot of these techniques, you know, once you learn them, you can apply them to different things. You can get a lot of different techniques or effects out of it. And now I'm going to do my green. And if I want to, I'm just kind of applying the green, just kind of just hitting this. Just hitting the side of my stamp with my marker. Alright, and now I'm just going to stamp it. And look at that. Let me come in. Can you see how we have, can you see how you have the, can you see how we have the, like, the green right in here? And we've got kind of like this dark and kind of light brown. Okay, so then let's play some more. Let's take a little bit of this, yellow, and let's just kind of do the yellow right here in the middle. Okay, and let's go ahead and close that. Now I've got, it doesn't show too much, but I still think it's a nice, it's a really nice effect. Very, very, very simple. But wait till you see what paper we put that on. And here's the other one I made. Okay, so our final one. So let me clean off this stamp set, this stamp right here. Another piece of cardstock. Line it up to where I want to stamp right here in my Stamparatus. Now I'm going to take Blushing Bride and I'm going to take my Calypso Coral. I'm going to take the Blushing Bride and I'm going to go around the outside of my flower. I'm just gonna run it along my flower and get the Blushing Bride right there. Okay. I'm going to grab the yellow and I'm going to put the yellow right here in the middle. And then I'm going to take the Calypso Coral and I'm just going to kind of go around the edge. Of my flower. And then I might do that little stipple. I might stipple it right in there. Okay. And then since we're using Stamparatus, I can do this first. See how it works. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to do my green, and I can do the same thing. I can take my my marker. And I'm just going to go ahead and go along. And I just want to be careful that I get my, I want to kind of get my leaf. Now I'm going to get my brown, and I'm going to just kind of do a little bit in my leaf with a little bit of brown. And then we're going to do this one. And look at that. So if I need to put more color, now this is Calypso Coral and Blushing Bride. So if I want to add any additional emphasis, I can do that. I can do that with my Calypso Coral right here. If I want to darken like the center right here, make sure that my outside petals are nice and dark. I can do that, and then you can kind of see how it kind of looks. Look at that. So that's another way of coloring, and here's my other one that I did earlier today. That's another way of coloring your magnolia. Now, it's 10 minutes to 8, and I only like to go an hour. But what I'm going to, what I want to show you is let's pull in some of these pencils, and I have I think I have Flirty Flamingo right here. Look, I have Calypso Coral, and then I just want to get a green, so I have Mossy Meadow. And then what I can do, let me pull in, is maybe I'll use this one. I think I'm going to use this one because it's already cut. I'm just going to go ahead and I can just kind of very softly with the side of my pencil, I'm just going to kind of go around the edge. Okay, very softly, just kind of go around. Look at that, just kind of go around the edge, following these lines like that. There you go. And these are the watercolor pencils, but I'm just going to use it as a pencil, and we're just kind of just filling in a little bit of that color there. See that? We're just doing that very easily. And this is not hard to do. It's just a matter of just applying your ink, and then you just kind of shade your leaves a little bit. Okay, and now we're going to get our and I'm just going to kind of, maybe I'm just going to shade like the back of this, shade a little bit in here. Kind of a radiating movement where I'm just kind of going out from the middle of my flower. And if I want to follow it up along this line, if I want to darken the backs of these leaves right here, because I have these leaves kind of curl a little bit. I can kind of choose to darken, but I'm just kind of there you go. I mean, very simple. It's very subtle. It's not a very in-your-face type of coloring. Sorry if that was too loud. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my cutting board, because I have my 3 flowers here. I've got this one, and this one. I've already had those cut. These are the ones that we just created. But there is there's a framelit that cuts these out beautifully, and then these are the papers that I picked. So I'm going to pick. I have a piece, and this is the DSP I'm talking about. This is where I say, I wish I had gone back in time and gotten all the DSP. Now's your time to get the DSP for the new catalog, because I think that Stampin' Up! Makes the best designer series paper that you can hope to get anywhere. Look at that. Look at that. There are our cards using Early Espresso and the DSP. That was very simple to color. Here is, I believe this is Old Olive, the DSP. There's our lined art, and then our Blushing Bride. Look how pretty that is. That is just gorgeous. So I'm going to put these together and I'll post them. But I just wanted to show you, and here's the this is the ribbon that goes with this set that is right now in the current catalog. It's this wonderful kind of a light crumb cake and kind of a flaxen ribbon with the Mossy Meadow twine. So there you go. I mean, it can't be any easier than that. So let me go back over here. And there's our Wednesday. 5 minutes to 8. You've got an hour. You've gotten more than you got a couple of new techniques under your belt, right? That are just stunning. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys try them out. Post them here on Stampin' Fusion. Let's see what you guys can come up with. I'm going to do my homework this week and put some cards together, and I'll post them in the gallery. And we'll go from there. So, like I said, I left you the link for the paper share. I left you the link for the workshop. You can come in at several levels. I answered the mail. Someone wanted background techniques. I did some background techniques. Give me some more ideas of some things you want to see. Next week I'm going to be doing our catalog walkthrough. So bring your catalog next week. It may take more than an hour. We're just going to have fun. I'm going to do a scavenger hunt. So I'm going to post a scavenger hunt. So you go through your catalog and you answer the questions of the scavenger hunt. And then during our walkthrough, I'm going to ask you the questions, and we'll see who the winners are. And I may need a helper to help me keep track of everything. So there you go. So until next week, you guys, stay well, keep stamping, and God bless.